Hey everybody, welcome back to my RV kitchen. Today I'm making 4 delicious pumpkin desserts. All are easy, cozy, and perfect for fall. So come along with me and let's get to cooking. For the cheesecake, the first thing we're going to do is make some graham cracker crumbs. I was going to purchase them already made up, from the store. I know they sell them that way, but they didn't have any, so we're going to make our own. Now that we have the correct amount of graham cracker crumbs in our bowl, I'm going to melt the butter. We're going to put in the brown sugar, the cinnamon, and the nutmeg. Then we'll add the melted butter and mix it all up to combine. Now, do not worry about writing everything down, because in the description box below I have a link that goes to my blog, and on there you'll find the recipe ingredients and the directions for each of these recipes. So that way you can just go there whenever you want to make it. Now that we've got this all combined, we'll put a well in the center, add our butter, get that mixed up, and we're going to press this into a 9-inch pan. Now it's supposed to be a spring form pan, which makes it easier, to get the cheesecake out once it's done, but I couldn't find mine. It's in the shed somewhere. So I just put parchment paper in here, that way I could pull it out, and then what I did the following day was put it in a foil pan, but you'll see that coming up. We're going to get this pushed down with I used a measuring cup, but anything you have with a hard bottom will work, but you want to get it pressed down very good into the pie pan. Next, we're going to take our heavy whipping cream, and we're going to whisk that up until it comes to stiff peaks, and then we're just going to set this aside. Now we're going to put our 2 blocks of softened cream cheese into another bowl, and we're going to whisk this up until smooth. Now we're going to add in our pumpkin puree, and we'll start whisking again and get that until there's no lumps. Now I'm just pulling off the bits on the side, and now I'm going to add in the powdered sugar. It calls for 3/4 cups. I'm going to do 1/4 cup at a time. Now to the mix, I'm going to add the vanilla, the pumpkin spice, and the sea salt, and then we'll blend all of that. Next, we're going to fold in the whipped cream. Now we're going to put the filling on the crust, and then you want to create a smooth top layer. I just used what Rachel Ray calls as a food mover, but anything you have that's flat. This goes in the refrigerator for at least 8 hours, better overnight. Mine was overnight. I had a can of whipped cream in this, so I decided to go ahead and just top it with that around the edges. And I had taken this out of my glass or ceramic pan and put it in the foil pan, and it has this sort of lid that it's sitting on right there. But here it is on the plate. It was absolutely delicious. I love this cheesecake. I shouldn't have eaten as much as I did. Here are your ingredients, but again, there's that link in the description box below. Now for the pumpkin pie bombs. This was the hardest recipe, which I thought would be the easiest. But the recipe I was following called for bread dough balls, and I couldn't find those, so I used crescent rolls. I had seen that on a different recipe. In this bowl, I put the cream cheese in and beat that on medium speed until it was sort of creamy, about a minute. And then we're adding in a 1/3 cup of powdered sugar. We'll mix that in, and then we're going to add a 1/3 cup of brown sugar, the egg, the pumpkin puree, and the vanilla, pumpkin spice, and cinnamon. And then we mix all of this together. Now, it was too runny to stay inside the crust, so I had a problem at first. So what I did is I added another 3 tablespoons of cream cheese. So 6 total, and I have 6 tablespoons written out in the ingredients. And then it went in a lot easier and stayed into the little ball. You'll see it coming up here. So we'll set this aside, and then what we're going to do is get out our crescent rolls. Now, the other recipes I looked at said pinch these pieces, but what happened was, being that the filling was so thin, it was coming through those little cracks. So I decided just to put some flour on it and roll it out like it was my own dough, and that worked. I cut these into 6 separate pieces. Then you put a couple teaspoons of the mixture that we mixed in the bowl into the center, and then roll the dough around it. This is after I had put more cream cheese in it, so it is thicker than you saw when we ended the last clip. I got 6 in this tray, and then I made another sheet of them and got 6 in the other, so it made 12 total. Now we're going to take our melted butter, put that on top, and then sprinkle some brown sugar over all 6 of them. This goes into an oven at 350 degrees for about 30-35 minutes. Now while these are cooking, we're going to make the glaze. That's 1 cup of powdered sugar, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla and heavy cream. Again, the recipe didn't put enough heavy cream in, so it was very thick. So I added more, and I believe it was about 1/2 cup. But just put the 1/2 cup in there, and then if it's still thick, just add a little more heavy cream until you get it to the consistency that you like. Then after the pumpkin bombs come out of the oven, we're going to go ahead and glaze them. I'll show you both trays coming up and then one on a plate. Here's our 2 trays all finished, and then I got one out and I put it on a little plate, and then I cut it open so you could see the inside. These were really good. I mean, after all the work, next time it would be easier, and I hope you give them a try. For the pumpkin roll, we're going to go ahead and mix our eggs, sugar, flour, pumpkin, baking soda, cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger until smooth. Now you want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees, and it says to line a 15 by 10 jelly pan with parchment. I don't have one. Can't get anything that big in one of my ovens. This pan that I have here in the view is a 10.5 by 10.5, and it's the one that came with my Oster oven, which is the oven that I use in my RV. So that's the one I used. It fit perfectly. It turned out fine, and this was I think my favorite recipe. It's hard. They were all good, but this turned out so good, and I'm going to go ahead and mix everything up here and get it onto the pan and go pop that in the oven. It goes in for 15 minutes. It says until the top springs back. Here it is out of the oven. It says to sprinkle liberally with the powdered sugar. I know this isn't what you use for powdered sugar, it's all I had, but it sprinkled it liberally and evenly over the top. Now I was measuring this up because we have to turn this over. You use a tea towel. I had a flour sack towel that I use for my cooking, and we're going to turn this over. Next, we're going to take off the parchment paper. Now, I went out, checked mine after 10 minutes, and it sprang back, but it clearly wasn't cooked all the way through. However, it turns out just fine because the flour sectel soaked up the little bit there in the center that wasn't all the way cooked. So you're going to roll the cake while it's warm, and then leave it for an hour and a half to cool in a rolled position. While it's cooling, we're going to make the filling. So we have cream cheese that we're starting with first, and then we're going to add the butter, powdered sugar, vanilla, and then beat it until it's smooth. This calls for 1 cup of powdered sugar. I was just using a smaller measuring spoon so that it would fit in my container. Now the cake is cool. We're going to go ahead and get this unrolled, and you'll see the uncooked cake filling coming off there. So it worked out. We're going to spread the filling all over and re-roll it. Then we'll wrap it in plastic wrap and let it chill in the refrigerator for at least 1 hour. I just want to say that if you are like me and not really good at baking, because I'm not, I mean, it's not my forte. I prefer cooking a dinner than I do a dessert. However, I like eating the dessert. I used to be addicted to the English baking show, the Great British Bake Off. My sister and I did a bake off once in 2019 at the campground and made cakes for the office staff up there, which was a lot of fun. But again, it's not my thing, and I made some mistakes here, but it didn't matter because they turned out. So even if you are hesitant, don't be. give it a try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But these all turned out wonderfully. Here's the pumpkin roll, and like I said, this was the bomb. It was so good, and it was very pretty. The pumpkin bread was the easiest thing to make of all. It's just a spice cake and some pumpkin. Over to the left of the screen, you'll see a loaf pan. I just put parchment paper in it. That way it's easy to take out when it's done. You get this all mixed together, put it into the loaf pan. You're going to put this into a 350-degree oven for 45 to 50 minutes. You let it cool for 10 minutes and then pull it out of the pan, and here it is. I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece so you can see. It was a delicious bread. I just put some nice butter on there. So good. This one gets a 2 thumbs up. If you enjoyed, be sure to give me a thumbs up. I do hope you enjoyed this week's recipes. Let me know which one of these pumpkin desserts would you try first. Tell me below. Don't forget, if you're new, please subscribe. We'd love to have you here. More recipes next Monday.